Hey guys, welcome back to The Fantasy Goods. I'm Josh Lipinski McHale, and today I'm going to be breaking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for you. But before we get started, if you guys could click that like and subscribe button, that'd be great. And don't forget, leave me a comment, let me know what you guys think of the video. But I'm going to get into the fantasy relevant parts of the Buccaneers and what you can expect from them this year. And right out the gate, I got to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the goddamn GOAT, Tom Brady. Yeah, and if you haven't been in a coma for the last 6 months and woke up yesterday, then you know that he took a 2-year deal in Tampa Bay and he's no longer with the New England Patriots. And he has arguably the best wide receiver duo he's had in his entire career in Godwin and Mike Evans. Oh yeah, but wait, there's more, because Tom Brady got the Tampa Bay Bucs to go out and trade a 4th-round pick for Rob Gronkowski. You know Rob Gronkowski, 6'6", 260 pounds, the greatest tight end in New England history. Yeah, that Rob Gronkowski. And I mean, if you followed him after retirement, he was also the 24/7 champ in the WWE, if that matters to you. But yeah, Tom Brady got his favorite receiving option back out of retirement, and I don't think it's for no reason. But I'm expecting great success from this rekindling bromance. But in terms of what to expect from Tom Brady himself in terms of fantasy, I think we're going to see him return to a top 10 fantasy quarterback, even top 8 status, and be startable most games this season. Now, he wasn't bad last year, finishing at quarterback 12, but seeing how Bruce Arians had this offense operating last year, where they passed 630 times, which was the 4th most in the league, I think he's going to see some heavy volume and have the tools to succeed with it. Now, the few knocks I have on the guy this year is, 1, he's old. Like really old. Like 42 years old. That's like 100 in quarterback years. And 2, he's now in a really tough division, which he's definitely not used to since he's dominated the AFC East for the last 18 years. So having to face teams like the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons, and he also has the Steelers and the Chicago Bears defense on his schedule, it leaves him with the 8th toughest schedule for quarterback this year. But I'm not too worried about that because I think he has the experience, the knowledge, and he's not going to make bad decisions with the ball. And I don't think he's going to be the reason why Tampa winds up losing games. And more importantly, I don't expect him to be the reason why you lose games. So here's what I'm telling you. If you didn't take Mahomes and Jackson early, and you muffed on getting a guy like Wilson and Murray a little later, then you can wait and safely wait till about the 10th, 11th, even 12th round to get a guy like Tom Brady and feel comfortable starting him. Now moving on to the next big name on this offense, it's gotta be Godwin. Now this guy was an animal last year, finishing wide receiver 2 in PPR format. Now Brady loves his slot receivers, and Godwin plays 50% of the time in the slot. But he also lines up on the outside. So I could absolutely see Tom Brady gravitating to this guy in multiple situations, throwing crossing routes on slants and post routes like he did with Julian Edelman back in New England. But this guy's bigger at 6'1", and I think better than Edelman. Maybe not in route running, but his speed, jump ability, vision, getting yards after the catch, I think he's better in all those areas than Tom Brady's old favorite target. So here's what I'm telling you. Get Godwin. Get him in the 1st, get him in the 2nd. If someone's stupid enough to let you fall to the 3rd, get him there, but get him on your roster. You won't be sorry. Because I can see this guy having a floor of being the number 5 wide receiver in fantasy this year and absolutely has the possibility to be the number 1 overall. So get Godwin, man. That's all I got to tell you. Speaking of old favorite targets, I'm hopping on the Gronk train this year. Now, defenses are coming out and saying that they're not worried about Gronk. He's not a threat because he's been out for a year. Stop. Stop yourself. Tom has a familiarity with this guy that he will not reach with any other player in this Bucs organization. I mean, they played almost 10 seasons together. And I don't think Tom vouched for this guy just to bring him out of retirement to be a decoy. Now, Gronk's one vice is he always gets nicked up and injured. But I think having the year off helped him out tremendously. Last year, Gronk was interviewed and asked if he would come out of retirement for the Patriots playoff push. And even though he said no, he told us that he'd lost 20 pounds and that he felt a lot of relief in his joints. And his words exactly were, I feel better than I have in years. And this guy wasn't just sitting on the couch or playing golf. in his retirement, he was competing in the WWE. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, but Josh, it's fake. I know it is. But you still need to be in shape to do those stunts and to throw guys around. So what I think I'm hoping for this year is that we see the first 16-game season that Gronk's put together since 2011, where he caught 90 passes for 1,327 yards and led the league with 17 touchdowns, where he put up a ridiculous 330 fantasy points, which is just outlandish for the tight end position. Now, I'm not saying he's going to give you those numbers at age 31. He is a bit older. He's in a new offense, and he hasn't played football in a year. But I think I'd be happy taking him where he's going at the end of the 8th round right now and know that I got a top 10 tight end who has a top 3 tight end ceiling. Now let's talk about the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL right now, Mike Evans. He's hit 1,000 yards in all 6 of his NFL seasons and finished wide receiver 15 last year, even though he missed the last 3 games with a hamstring injury. I just think this guy is special, man. 6'5", 231 pounds, good speed, great jump ball guy, but I honestly think that the addition of Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski can really hurt his fantasy output this season. Like I said earlier, Tom Brady loves his slot receivers, and Mike Evans plays almost exclusively on the outside. Another fact is over the last 2 seasons, Mike Evans caught 43 20-plus yard balls from Jameis Winston, and I think that's just because Winston's a gunslinger and just throws it up for Mike Evans to go and get, no matter how difficult the pass is or how reckless it is. And I just don't see Tom Brady at 42 throwing as many long balls. Not saying he's not going to throw any at all. He might get some big balls, but I just don't think it's going to be as much as he's used to with Winston, where he thrives and gets those big numbers. Brady is much better at protecting the ball. Now, another thing I'm worried about is the addition of Gronk. Mike Evans is such a great red zone target. 4 of his 8 touchdowns last year came in the red zone. But Tom Brady brought Gronk out of retirement because he's comfortable throwing to him, especially in these red zone target areas. So I can see him losing 1, 2, even 3 red zone touchdowns to Gronkowski in the tight end position. So what I'm telling you is I view Evans as more as a wide receiver 2 this year, maybe in the middle of the pack, rather than the wide receiver 1 that he's being drafted in at around that end of the 2nd round this year. So if you can hold off on him, I would. But if you need a wide receiver, I get it, and I wouldn't blame you for taking him. He is very talented, but I don't think he's going to produce where he's being drafted this year. Now let's get into the running backs, the least exciting part of this offense. I think it's going to wind up being a committee like it was last year. And you know what? Brady's used to that. They never really had a workhorse back his majority of the time that he was there in New England. So with Peyton Barber heading out to Washington, D.C., we got Ronald Jones II, who never wowed me at all last season. He had 8 games of single-digit fantasy points, 2 of which were 0.8 and 0.9. He did have 5 games where he produced 15 fantasy points or better, but he's just too inconsistent, too up and down. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd let him be somebody else's headache. But if you got to have him, I ain't touching him before the 9th round. The other option they got at running back is their unproven rookie that they drafted in the 3rd round out of Vanderbilt, Keyshawn Vaughn. 5'10", 214 pounds, ran a 4.51 40-yard dash at the combine, played all 4 years in college, and had almost 200 carries for 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns in his last year in college. Now, in terms of the NFL, that'd be impressive for a rookie or a young back, but the better backs in college are getting way better stats than that. And I watched a little bit of tape on this guy, and he had a lot of big runs where he was barely getting away from defenses. And if you're barely getting away from defenses in college, you ain't getting away from the pros. They're too fast. Everyone's an all-star from college that's in the NFL right now. I feel like this guy is a rookie replacement of exactly what they let walk out the door in Peyton Barber. I mean, we'll see what this guy can be behind a middle-of-the-pack O-line with the 10th easiest running back schedule, but unless you really think he's going to win the starting job in Tampa and are chasing the volume, I really don't think that he's worth a lot of draft capital. Maybe if he's sitting there in the 11th, 12th round. You take him as a bench stash with some upside, but I wouldn't risk too much more than that. Going a little deeper into this team, there is a sleeper or two for me, one of which is O.J. Howard. Remember when I was talking about Mike Evans and I said he could lose 1, 2 to 3 touchdowns in the red zone to Gronk and the tight end position? This is what I was talking about. Howard had a breakout year in 2018 and vastly underproduced last year. But the Bucs, although they did shop him around for a trade, they did pick up his 5th-year option. Now, I'm not saying that he's definitely going to be fantasy relevant again this year, but it'd be interesting to see if maybe they reach all the way back to the 2011 Patriots playbook with those 2 tight end formations and use O.J. Howard the way that the Patriots used Aaron Hernandez that year. And for reference, that's the year that Gronk put up that 330 points, and Aaron Hernandez put up 214.5 fantasy points, finishing tight end 3, only behind Gronk and Graham, and finished number 32 overall in fantasy that year. So I'm not saying draft O.J. Howard, but I mean, if you don't need anything in the 16th round, why not? If not, just watch him on the waiver wires. He could be a sneaky pickup from the early to mid part of the season. Another tight end they brought back this year was former Pro Bowl tight end Cameron Brate. Now, I don't see this guy being anything more than a desperation, touchdown-dependent play this year. You're really not going to see him in anything more than jumbo and goal line sets, or unless Gronk and OJ get tired. He might be lucky enough to grab a touchdown this season, but in my opinion, you can pass on him altogether. Another sleeper for me is rookie wide receiver Tyler Johnson, who the Bucs took in the 5th round out of Minnesota. Now, this is a deep sleeper, guys, so just keep an eye on him. I mean, I told you that Brady likes his slot guys. Godwin lines up in the slot 50% of the time, but he also lines up on the outside. So what happens when Evans and Godwin both line up on the outside? Someone's got to fill that slot role in 3 receiver sets. I think it's going to be this kid. He's 6 foot, 206 pounds, and ran a 4.55 40 at the combine. He also had 1,100 yards and 1,300 yards his last 2 years in college, and he also had double-digit touchdowns both those last 2 years. Now, we've seen Brady make undrafted and 7th-round wide receivers relevant. You know, think of Edelman, Wes Welker, Danny Amendola. I'm not saying that this kid's going to be a superstar like any of those guys, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. So just keep an eye on him on your waiver wires. He's one injury away, in my opinion, of being relevant. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And by touch, I mean don't touch. Stay far away from this defense if you can. They face the likes of Christian McCaffrey, Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and they play them twice a season. Need I say more? Okay, they have the 4th hardest schedule for a defense in 2020. So if I can, I will not touch them at all this season. I recommend you don't. But if you need them, I guess on a bye week for a good matchup, if it lines up for you, maybe. But I'm not touching these guys at all. Well, that's all I got for you guys on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. So thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. We got more content coming at you guys. So check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, @TheFantasyGoods. And until next time, remember, we're the Fantasy Goods, and we got the goods.